Part 3. The Practice of Love. So far we have investigated the theories and mechanics of different versions of love. However, though we have mentioned it, we have not yet gone in depth on how to practice healthy types of affection. As said before, love is an art. As such, the practice of love must follow the general requirements of learning any other art: self-discipline, focus, and patience. Self-discipline refers to a person's ability to continue to pursue a task, even when the action in question is difficult. If one learns an art form based on temporary interest or impulse, it is impossible for them to reach proficiency, as we can grow bored of even the most enjoyable of tasks. The cultivation of self-discipline starts from daily habits. For example, you can first develop a regular work and rest schedule, get up on time and set aside a certain amount of hours every day to read, think, and walk. It is also important to face reality head-on and not attempt to avoid or run away from problems. The most important thing is not to treat self-discipline as a burden but as an attitude to life. In other words, take self-discipline as a de facto part of one's life. This comes from the idea that life is only worth living if you are happy. As self-discipline is critical to developing love, and thus contentment and happiness, it would be harmful not to engage in its practice. Once learned as a habit, if you stop exercising self-discipline, you will feel that you have lost a vital part of your existence. In addition to self-discipline, we must also learn to focus. When learning to focus, the most important thing is learning to be comfortable being alone with your thoughts without distracting yourself with entertainment or the company of others. Being alone is a necessary condition for a person to have the ability to truly love. If a person cannot stand to be alone and requires the attention of another to function, then they are, by Fromm's definition, in a symbiotic union. This is no easy task. Humans, after all, are social creatures and, after a while, will feel irritable and uneasy on their own. If this happens to you, there are some simple exercises that can help you regain your focus. For example, looking at a blank wall, naturally following your breathing rhythm, and trying to eliminate all internal images and thoughts at the same time. Fromm saw a vast improvement in his own life by doing this for just 20 minutes at a time. With regular practice every morning and evening, regaining your focus will come as naturally as breathing. Eventually, you will be able to focus when doing any task, gaining a new depth of experience. Even listening to music, watching the scenery, or going for a drive, can be focused on. You will have a new appreciation for these seemingly passive activities. In short, when you decide to do something, you must focus on it and in that moment, consider the action as if it is of critical importance, devoting to it the full attention of both body and mind. Next, we need to learn to be attentive. In relationships, the first step towards attentiveness means listening. When having a conversation, if you can't focus on listening, the two of you can't communicate. Information will be exchanged, but there will be no emotional depth to your interaction. The next aspect of attentiveness is sensitivity. For example, when driving, a faint abnormal sound from an already loud engine will attract your attention. For another example, when her child cries, a mother will wake up from a deep sleep, even though she might sleep through a party next door. Here, sensitivity does not mean that you are in a state of continuous tension, but rather you keep an open state of mind. A person who has developed the ability to focus will naturally maintain sensitivity, as they will be able to discern what is of great importance and what is not. The final general requirement for practicing love is patience. For modern people, being patient is as difficult as maintaining focus. Today's society moves quickly, with fast food for meals and assembly lines for work. When we are used to having everything done as rapidly and efficiently as possible, we easily lose our sense of patience and come to expect immediate results in everything we do. For something like love, which requires an immense amount of thought, practice, and struggle, mastery is impossible without patience. Now that we have a general outline, let's look at the specific personality requirements for practicing love, that is, to overcome narcissism and remain objective. A person with narcissistic tendencies cannot maintain an objective perspective when it comes to the world around them. Everything becomes defined by its impact on them or their impact on it. Anything outside their sphere of influence is irrelevant. For example, imagine a narcissist making a doctor's appointment. They would like to make time for that afternoon, yet the doctor says they are not available until the next week. The narcissist repeatedly says, "Doctor, my residence is only 5 minutes away from your clinic." But the doctor remains firm that they are not available today. Someone like this doesn't understand that their proximity to the clinic is completely unrelated to the doctor's availability. They only see the problem from their perspective, that they need a doctor and this is the closest one to their house, completely disregarding the needs of the doctor. Varying degrees of narcissism are common in life. For example, many parents are concerned about their children's obedience, how well their homework is done and whether their kids make them worried or happy. It is difficult for them to see their child's perspective, and thus they cannot gain an objective understanding of their son or daughter's needs. Overcoming narcissism is accomplished by cultivating one's ability to think objectively and rationally. It is impossible to have the ability to love just by interacting with others based on your subjective assumptions. Therefore, one must constantly cultivate an objective and rational attitude in order to deal with one's relationship with all people in a realistic and caring manner. Successfully utilizing objectivity means that the ability to genuinely love is more than half realized. In addition to objectivity, a critical component of overcoming narcissism is faith. The faith mentioned here does not refer to the belief in God or religious doctrines, nor does it contradict or separate from reason and rational thinking. Rational faith is rooted in productive intellectual and emotional activity. Apart from their continuous experiments and ongoing collection of materials, a huge part of scientists' success in making discoveries is due to this rational faith. It is the belief in the scientific method and in humanity's ability to understand the natural world. Some are even willing to die for their convictions, such as Bruno, who was burned alive for his views that other planets may have life on them, and Spinoza, who was expelled from both his native Jewish community and shunned by the Catholic Church for his criticisms of contemporary philosophy. Both of these men are lauded today for having the rational faith to stand up for themselves and their ideologies and are considered foundational progenitors of modern science. As with science, relationships also require rational faith. It is an essential quality for exercising deep friendship and love, and this is embodied in the trust of oneself and others. Trusting in ourselves means that we believe that our core personality and values will not change with external conditions. This self-confidence allows us to have a concrete and independent identity. From Wrights, having faith in another person means to be certain of the reliability and unchangeability of his fundamental attitudes, of the core of his personality, of his love. Having faith requires acquiring the courage to discern a relationship's value, and take decisive measures to make sacrifices for these values. This kind of courage comes from the love and desire for life, and its cultivation needs to start from little things in daily life. Think about it: when and where do you become timid? How do you rationalize it? Does a lack of confidence make you weak again, and does this weakness increase cowardice? Love also needs faith because, fundamentally, it is the practice of commitment and dedication without guarantee. If there is no faith, there can be no love. We've reached the end of our third part, the practice of love. To recap, in order to successfully practice love, we must cultivate self-discipline, focus, and patience. In addition, we must overcome narcissism, maintain objectivity, persist in rational faith, and strengthen confidence in ourselves and others. It is only by maintaining these values that we can achieve genuine love. Now we have fully unlocked Fromm's masterpiece, The Art of Loving. After listening to this bookie, you may have a new understanding of what love is and how to practice it in your daily life. Love is an ability that needs to be acquired through learning and practice. It is not a temporary emotional impulse. Whether in our society or family, we don't want to be lonely. On the contrary, as humans, we do everything we can to avoid this feeling. To fully overcome loneliness, we must learn to love ourselves and others. We should enjoy the love of our mother and father and also have the possibility to love our children as parents. We must give love to our partners and also have the self-confidence to maintain a productive and healthy way of loving. We must insist on self-discipline, maintain our objectivity, as well as learn to understand, respect, and pay attention to others. When we can love, we will satisfy the inherent need to overcome the loneliness that resides deep in our hearts. Fromm has given us the key to doing just this, which is why his book has remained popular for over half a century.
Awesome. You just unlocked all key insights. Knowledge has to be shared to have value. Welcome to share this bookie to your friends who may also like it.